trust, once shattered, never returns to its original form. No matter how many times we try to piece it back together, the cracks remain, invisible to the eye, but forever felt. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been manipulated without even realizing it? Felt uneasy in a conversation, doubted your own memory, or walked away wondering, was it really my fault? If you have, you're not alone. The truth is, some of the most powerful manipulation tactics aren't loud or aggressive. They don't come wrapped in threats or ultimatums. Instead, they slip quietly into our everyday conversations, hidden behind what seem like harmless questions. Questions that catch us off guard. Questions that bypass logic and go straight for our emotions. Questions that were never really about curiosity, but control. In this video, I'm going to uncover 5 of the most deceptively subtle questions manipulators use to disarm your defenses, twist a narrative, and make you question your own reality, all while pretending to ask something innocent. As someone who has studied human behavior and communication for years, I've seen how easily even the smartest, most emotionally intelligent people can fall victim to these traps. I've fallen for them myself. That's why this matters. This isn't just about spotting a liar. It's about reclaiming your power, your clarity, and your voice in conversations that are meant to confuse you. By the end of this video, you'll not only know how to recognize these tactics, you'll know exactly how to respond to them calmly and confidently, because trust should never be weaponized. Let's begin. It starts subtly. You bring up something that doesn't sit right, a missed deadline, a suspicious text, a broken promise, and suddenly, instead of an answer, you're hit with, "Don't you trust me?" That question lands like a punch to the gut. It's one of the oldest emotional traps in the book and one of the most effective, because instead of addressing your concern, the conversation flips. Now you're on trial. Your loyalty is questioned. Your intentions are under scrutiny. And without even realizing it, you're the one defending yourself. Let's break this down. When someone says, "Don't you trust me?" they're not actually asking for trust, they're demanding silence. It's not a question, it's a manipulation. It's designed to trigger guilt, not resolution. The moment you start justifying your feelings, you're pulled into their frame. Now you're reassuring them, instead of standing up for your own discomfort. Here's what's really happening psychologically. The manipulator deflects attention away from the issue at hand. They frame your observation as a betrayal, making you seem like the aggressor. They use your empathy against you, knowing that you don't want to hurt someone you care about. And they often pair it with emotional leverage. "After everything I've done for you, I thought we were closer than that. I've never given you a reason not to trust me." Sound familiar? These phrases often show up in romantic relationships, where one partner is hiding something, but instead of honesty, they go for guilt. They also appear in work environments, when a colleague is called out but wants to preserve their image, or in family dynamics, where questioning a parent or elder is seen as disrespect. And here's the most telling sign. They never answer the original question. They avoid it completely and instead cite their track record, their past behavior, their sacrifices, as if that erases your right to seek clarity in the present. But here's the truth. Trust is a shield to hide behind. It's not a free pass to avoid accountability. And asking for trust while dodging the truth isn't trust, it's coercion. So, what do you do when someone throws this question at you? Don't get defensive. Don't explain yourself. Instead, refocus the conversation on what actually matters. Try saying, "I'm not attacking your character. I'm trying to understand the situation. Right now, I'm focusing on facts, not faith." Or, "Trust is built by being honest with each other, especially when things are uncomfortable. So let's talk about what's really going on." These responses are calm, centered, and most importantly, they don't let you get pulled into the guilt trap, because real trust doesn't silence questions. It invites them. Here's a sentence that sounds innocent, even rational, but carries the weight of a trap. Why would I lie about that? On the surface, it feels like a fair question. It appeals to logic, even common sense. But make no mistake, this is not an honest inquiry. It's a calculated move, a rhetorical sleight of hand, designed to make you second-guess what your instincts are telling you. This kind of question doesn't seek an answer. It's not about dialogue, it's about deflection. The moment it's asked, the burden of proof shifts. Now you have to explain why they'd lie, instead of them explaining what really happened. And that's the core manipulation. It flips the script and creates confusion. You go from holding a valid concern to feeling like you're inventing a conspiracy. You start to ask yourself, maybe I am overthinking this. What reason would they even have to lie? But the truth is, liars don't always need a good reason. Sometimes they lie to save face. Sometimes to protect their image. And sometimes simply because it's worked for them in the past. Let's look at a few scenarios. You confront your partner after seeing a suspicious message on their phone. They reply, "Why would I lie about that?" with just enough indignation to make you feel guilty for even asking. Or you question a politician's shifting statements on a policy. They respond publicly with, "Why on earth would I lie about something like that?" And the crowd nods not because the answer is convincing, but because the tone sounds confident. That's another trick of this question. It leans on tone, not truth, on performance, not proof. Because when someone says, "Why would I lie?" they're really saying, "You're irrational for even doubting me." It's emotional gaslighting disguised as logic. And many manipulators do it so smoothly, so earnestly, that even the most grounded person can start to doubt their perception. But here's the strategy to deal with it. Don't get pulled into their logic trap. You don't need to prove their motives. You just need to stay rooted in facts. Respond with something like, "I'm not accusing you without reason, I'm just asking for clarity based on what I saw." Or, regardless of intention, this situation raises real concerns. Let's focus on the details, not the hypotheticals. Remember, you're not responsible for explaining why someone might lie. You're responsible for standing up when something doesn't feel right. In relationships, in the workplace, in politics, truth isn't proven by tone or theatrics. It's proven by transparency. So next time someone asks, "Why would I lie about that?" ask yourself, why are they so quick to shut down the question instead of just answering it? At first, it sounds like a harmless invitation, even exciting. Can you keep a secret? Most of us have heard it. It feels like being let into a hidden room, a whispered confidence, a private bond. But that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Because this question isn't always about trust. Sometimes it's a test of loyalty. Other times, it's a trap in disguise. The moment someone asks this, they subtly shift the dynamic. You're no longer just a friend, a colleague, or a partner. You're now a potential accomplice, whether you realize it or not. Here's what's really happening beneath the surface. They're not just sharing something with you. They're binding you to them. They're saying, "Now that you know, you can't walk away." It's a calculated move to draw you in emotionally, ethically, and psychologically. Let's look at a few real-life examples. At work, a co-worker says, "Can you keep a secret?" before revealing that someone in the office is about to be fired, or worse, gossip meant to tarnish another person's reputation. Or in a relationship, someone uses this phrase to tell you something about a mutual friend, something they shouldn't be sharing, but now you're holding it. The information is toxic, and so is the expectation that you say nothing. Even more dangerously, this question is sometimes used to manipulate power dynamics. "I'm trusting you with this. Don't make me regret it." That's not intimacy, that's pressure. That's not connection, that's coercion. There are two psychological plays here. One, They create the illusion of special closeness. You're the chosen one who gets the inside scoop. 2, they test your loyalty not to truth or ethics, but to them. Once you're in, backing out feels like betrayal. It's an emotional setup. If you break the secret, you're the disloyal one even if the secret itself was harmful, dishonest, or manipulative. So how can you recognize this tactic? Watch for these signs. The secret feels ethically gray or puts you in a moral bind. You're told not to repeat it, but you're not sure why. The information seems designed to sway your opinion or isolate someone else. You feel uneasy after hearing it, not trusted, but burdened. And here's a wise, healthy way to respond. I don't want to put myself in a position where I have to choose sides. Or, more directly, if this is something that could hurt someone or me, I'd rather not be involved. Because truthfully, any secret that requires you to compromise your values, your peace of mind, or your relationships isn't a secret worth keeping. There's a difference between confiding in someone and manipulating them into silence. The next time someone leans in and says, "Can you keep a secret?" Pause and ask yourself, who benefits if I say yes and who pays the price if I do? At first glance, it sounds like a simple question, but make no mistake, who told you that is rarely about curiosity. It's about control. This question is a tactical redirection. It's not concerned with the truth of what you've heard. It's focused on tracking down the source and often on punishing them. Think about it. You confront someone with a fact they don't want to face. You're expecting an explanation. Instead, they shoot back coldly. Who told you that? Suddenly, the conversation isn't about what they did. It's about who dared to speak up. This is a classic manipulation move designed to 1. Intimidate the whistleblower. 2. Dissuade you from questioning them again. 3. And reclaim power in a situation where they've lost moral ground. You'll often see this tactic used by those in positions of perceived authority. A controlling partner, a defensive manager, a friend who's been caught betraying trust. Their voice may get quieter but colder. Their eyes narrow. Their posture shifts suddenly. You're on the defensive. They don't deny what you said. They don't explain or clarify. Instead, they launch a hunt for the leak because in their mind, the problem isn't that they did something wrong. The problem is that someone told you about it. Let's consider a few examples. In the workplace, you confront your boss about an unfair policy. Instead of engaging, they glare at you and say, "Who told you that?" The real issue, the policy, gets lost as fear of retribution sets in. In a relationship, you call out a partner's behavior. Maybe you found out they were at a party they never mentioned. Instead of being honest, they stiffen and ask, "Who told you that?" Now, you're forced into a corner. Either expose your source or risk escalating tension. Even among friends, someone might use this question to divide and conquer, to isolate the person who spoke up and manipulate the group dynamic. And here's the danger. The moment you answer that question, you've shifted the power back to them. You've helped them target the truth teller, rather than take responsibility. So how should you respond? The most effective strategy is refusal and redirection. You're not obligated to protect the manipulator's comfort, you're obligated to protect the truth. Try this. The issue isn't who said it. The issue is what's happening and whether it's true. Or more firmly, I don't think it's fair to punish someone for being honest, especially if what they said needs to be addressed. This sets a clear boundary. It signals, I'm not here to play games. I'm here to talk about the facts. Because manipulation thrives in secrecy. And when someone tries to silence the truth by turning you into an informant, they're not just defending themselves. They're weaponizing your integrity. Remember, truth doesn't need a name attached to be valid. And people who genuinely care about right and wrong will focus on the message, not the messenger. There are few things more destabilizing than being told your memory is failing, especially when it's not. Don't you remember? It sounds innocent, but often it's the entry point to gaslighting, a subtle and sinister form of manipulation. This phrase is used to make you question your reality, your recollection of events, even your own sanity. You might hear it in the middle of a disagreement. I told you about this last week, don't you remember? We already agreed on this. You said yes. You're the one who suggested it, not me. And just like that, the ground beneath your feet begins to shift. What if you did forget? What if you did say yes? Why does it feel like the truth is slipping through your fingers? This is how gaslighting works. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It doesn't accuse, it restructures reality, one false memory at a time. Over time, repeated exposure to this tactic can erode something fundamental: your trust in yourself. You start second-guessing everything. Maybe I'm just too emotional. Maybe I did forget again. Maybe it's me. But here's what many don't realize. This tactic is often deliberate. It's not about memory, it's about power. If someone can convince you that your mind is unreliable, they can rewrite the past. They can avoid accountability. And they can control future decisions because you'll defer to their version of events. Let's break this down with an example. In a relationship, your partner says, "We agreed not to talk about that anymore," but you're sure you never had that conversation. Still, they insist with confidence, even with specific details. You begin to wonder, could I have forgotten? Or at work, your colleague shifts blame for a mistake and says, "I told you to update that file, don't you remember?" Suddenly, you're doubting what you know. You lose credibility, not just with others, but with yourself. Here's the red flag. People who use this tactic often repeat their version of the story with increasing certainty. They offer fabricated specifics to make it feel real. They avoid written records or ignore them entirely. So how should you respond? With calm, clarity, and documentation. Try this. I don't remember it that way. Let's go back and review what was actually said or written. This strategy shifts the conversation from emotion to evidence. It allows you to escape the mental fog of self-doubt and re-anchor yourself in facts. Also, keeping written records, texts, emails, meeting notes can become a vital tool for defending against this tactic. And on a deeper level, remember this: forgetting something occasionally is human, but being repeatedly told you forgot things you never agreed to, that's manipulation. Trust your instincts. When something feels off, even if you can't explain why, listen to that voice inside. Because the goal of gaslighting isn't just to win an argument, it's to make you question your right to the truth. Don't give anyone that power. Let's take a step back. We've just explored 5 seemingly harmless questions. Questions that, on the surface, might sound casual or even caring. But underneath, they form a systematic pattern of manipulation. Don't you trust me? Why would I lie about that? Can you keep a secret? Who told you that? Don't you remember? These aren't just words. They are tools of control, wrapped in politeness, disguised as concern, and when used by someone with the intent to deceive or dominate. Each one chips away at your clarity, your confidence, your truth. Here's what's important to understand. Manipulation thrives in silence. It grows in your self-doubt. But the moment you become aware of it, the moment you see the pattern, it begins to lose its power. Awareness is strength. The right response is freedom. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove anything to a manipulator. You just need to recognize the signs, set your boundaries, and stand firm in your truth. Trust your gut even when the facts seem blurry. If something feels off, it probably is. And if this video helped you spot something you hadn't seen before, then here's what I invite you to do next. Trust your instincts more. They're not just emotional, they're intelligent. Share this video with someone who might need it, someone who's been questioning their own judgment for too long. Comment below. Have you ever been asked one of these questions? How did it make you feel? Subscribe to the channel, because in the next video, we'll dive deeper into how to disarm manipulative people without losing your power or your peace. Let's build a community that values clarity, truth, and emotional freedom. And I'll leave you with this. Authentic communication builds trust. Manipulation destroys it. Choose your words. Protect your space. Own your truth.